How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Wish stock. There's been a lot of changes going on in regards to overall institutional activity, and I want to make sure that I'm sharing it with you guys inside of this video. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you are a shareholder or you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to be going over is the technical analysis, taking a look at the overall price action. I've been getting a lot of messages saying, yo, Dre, it's been helping. I've been seeing those areas of support. I've been seeing it pulling back, and I've been riding on those run-ups, especially for all of my short-term traders out there. And then secondly, we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and as well as the short interest information. As far as for the institutional ownership, like I said, it is looking very solid in regards to the overall activity, but hey, we're going to be going over that. And then afterwards, we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. Are institutions loading up as far as the trading that went down today for Wish stock? We're going to find out. And then when all of that is done, I'll be giving you guys my final thoughts. So let's jump to it. So we're going to be doing a technical analysis for Wish. Let's see how it performed on today. So ended up closing at $9.98, being up 0.40%. On the low, it tested $9.62, and then on the high, testing $10.68. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 45.851 million shares. And as far as for the average volume over 10 trading days, it's around 36.916 million shares. So we did have above average volume, which is part of the reasons why we ended up seeing some strength in Wish stock today. So the chart that we're using is a 6-month 2-hour chart. If we take a look at the RSI down below, you can see it's right around 55.84. So yes, as you can see here, it's still fairly close to the middle, looking to make its way into the overbought territory. Now, when we take a look now, we already talked about as far as for Wish is concerned, if you can get in at the $9 range, this is a pretty good setup for yourself. We ended up visiting $10.68 on the day until hitting to some resistance here. But do keep in mind of the fact here, this 1050 level becomes a very key level, and I feel like if there's a lot of volume and there's a lot of momentum coming through Wish stock, then we could easily make that move to $11 since we got to 1068. Do keep in mind the market ended up pulling back quite a bit, and this is part of the reasons why we see as far as for Wish is concerned, we have some selling pressure. So taking that into consideration, we want to see if it could hold up because we've seen increasing levels of support. So what I'd want to see is I want to see Wish being able to stay above $9.75. If it can't stay above $9.75, then the next level that it could possibly test is right here around $9.50. And if it can't hold $9.50, then the next level to look out for would be around $9.33. Then this is taking into consideration going into tomorrow. If it ends up being bullish and it maintains this strength right here, right around this $10 level, it did close at $9.98, then tomorrow I would definitely look forward to seeing that retest if things look bullish back to this $10.68 level, and then looking forward to seeing that move and that push so we can get to $11. So let's be patient, see what happens. So we're going to be taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and as well as the short interest information for Wish. So as we scroll down on the page, you can see here green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So we can see institutions are definitely loading the boat here. So we have IEQ Capital that purchased 357,500 shares, of course valued well over 4 million. And the next one we could see here was SFYX SoFi Next 500 ETF that went in with 2,706 shares. And we also have CPO Capital purchases 16,691 shares, and of course a value of 220,000. And we could see also for the 28th we had some institutions that were purchasing. So it's good to see institutions have been filing and putting in the, hey, you know what, we've been loading up on Wish stock. When we take a look at the short interest information, the short volume ratio is at 14.18%. Scrolling further down on the page, the short shares availability is at 8 8.2 million, updated 21 minutes ago. And as far as for the short borrow free rate, it is at 0.72%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume ratio, and we're using the FINRA numbers here, we can see for the close for July 27th, it was at 28.17. And as far as for the 28th, which was the end of day yesterday, it was at 25.02. So of course, Wish continues to have short squeeze potential, and it's part of the reasons why you see a lot of volatility inside of the stock. But what is great to see, institutions are loading up. So continue to keep this on your watch list, trade off those fluctuations if you like. And if you are looking in as regard to a long-term position, like I was saying, you really can't go wrong when it's in the $8 or the $9 range. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Wish. So we can see here on the inflow is at 103, and on the outflow it was 106. So on the large side, we have 0.84, and on the medium side, we have 63.06, and on the small, we have 38.81. Keep in mind, this is in the millions. Now, when we take a look at the outflow side, it was 106. On the large, you had 1.09, and on the medium, we had 65.01, and on the small, we had 39.98. When we take a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see here for July the 29th, we had an outflow day being at 255.16, but we had a big time inflow day on July the 28th, as you can see, being at 4,728.3. On the 27th, it was 0, 26, 0, and as far as for the 23rd, we also had an inflow day being at 21.07. So one thing that we could see clearly here, we saw there was a lot of volatility that went down in the market, especially as we went into the afternoon going into the close. So I saw there was a lot of selling pressure into the stock, and we also take notice of this going on inside the after hours as well. So as far as tomorrow is concerned, I want to see Wish being able to hold up that $9 level. If it does decide to go into the low 9s or to go into the 8s, many of you know already what the strategy is, especially whether you're looking at it as far as for the long term or you're trying to trade off fluctuations. So I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the final thoughts. So for my final thoughts for Wish stock, if you are inside of this play, I just want to make sure you have a strategy. If you're trying to hold for the long term because you believe in the potential of the company, then you want to make sure you take advantage of pullbacks, right? As far as for that $8 range or anywhere inside of the low 9s. If you're trying to trade off of the fluctuations, pay attention to those areas of support and as well as resistance. There's going to be a lot of volatility. We saw that Amazon ended up releasing their earnings, and as far as the reaction overall in general, it pretty much impacted the whole entire tech sector. And this is something you really don't want to ignore. Of course, we need to see what the market looked like going into tomorrow, but I would love to see Wish actually get back into that $10 range and also make that move, especially going into maybe $11 or even $12, especially going into their earnings. And that's one of the reasons why I continue to keep this stock on my watch list, and I find it also quite intriguing. One thing I do believe though, I feel like the earnings is actually going to be fairly strong. I think the revenues are definitely going to be looking good, but we want to make sure that they're actually being profitable. Another thing that we also want to take a look at as far as for Wish, when we went on Fintel, we can see it does continue to have short squeeze potential, and we still see institutions are buying up shares. We're seeing this from the filings. So this is great, especially if you're wanting to go long. And like I was saying before, Wish is more than just a meme stock here, and we can see this already. Institutions would not be loading up or buying shares in companies that don't have a chance whatsoever. There would be no point. So at least in this particular case, we have institutions saying, hey, this is a solid company. We also do know about the analyst price targets being at around like $15, $16, and looking at the current price of where it's at right now, there is some upside when you take a look at whether you're going to be holding it all the way until next year. With all of that said, let's see how it performs tomorrow, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll talk soon.